Welcome to Friday, everybody. I'm not gonna lie, on Thursday, Samantha emailed saying it was Friday, and our business office emailed saying it was Saturday. So I'm a little I'm pretty sure it's Friday though, so welcome. We're on theme 7. We're getting there towards the end of our 10 sessions, I believe 10. We all know I'm not good with numbers. So before we jump in, my question for today is, if you could time travel to it could be future or it could be back in time, where would you go? What would you do? Who would you visit? You don't have to answer all of this. I'm trying to prompt you here. And why? All right, Lauren, you're up.
This is actually something that I think about a lot. I would go back to about 1994, 1995, and just see my family with all of my siblings at home and all of us kids and happy and together because I'm one of 4 kids and that home was chaos and I don't remember a lot of it. I don't remember a lot of us living all together at the same time. So, because I'm the youngest. So I would really love to see my parents at that age and my siblings and just the chaos and how much we loved it.
That's a really sweet answer. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Yeah. Go ahead, Mariah, and then over to Melissa.
My answer is not as sentimental, but I have always been obsessed with like the Roaring 20s, like Great Gatsby era. Just sort of that like over the top where they all like you wore fancy clothes all the time and everything was like this big occasion. And I think it would be really fun to go back to that era and just, wear like you never wore sweatpants. You were always dressed to the nines and like put together. I just think that would be so fun.
Do you have a flapper dress hidden in your closet?
No, but like that's what I want. That's what I envision. Like a full flapper dress with like the little sequined hat. 100%.
The
Yes.
What are they? Cigarette things?
Just that whole like very dramatic, over the top, everything was this big party. That's 100% what I would want to go back to.
Guys, I know what we're getting Mariah for Christmas. Hi, Alicia. Good morning.
I would want to go back to the age before bills. Remember that age? So great. The age before you had to pay any bills, the age before you had responsibility. That was an amazing year. Those years were amazing. You just wake up, you just kind of just live life on a whim, whatever you want to do. Sky's the limit. You're not worried about your bills, but those are the days I would love to go back to. I think that would be the best trip in time where you have less responsibility, less to stress about, less to think about. And, because adulting is not really fun.
Adulting is hard. You raise a very good point. Who's next? Hi, Sam. Good morning. Sam, good morning. I need you to know today is actually Friday, Samantha. We're here. We made
it. and to be fair, I was trying to say Friday Eve, but I just completely missed the whole Eve part. So it's been a week. So my answer would probably be like the 50s, 60s. I love the fashion back then. Like I love the dresses and the dancing and all that fun stuff.
Would you wear like the skirts? Like what fashion are you talking about? Because I
know like rockabilly. Like the rockabilly kind of dresses.
Okay, because I was like, I just don't see you with like the high ponytail and the scarf. Like it just
No, okay. I like rockabilly.
Love
I can definitely imagine you dressed up in that type of dress.
Yes.
Now.
We're gonna have like a costume party, guys. Good morning, Brittany.
Hi. So I really hate this question always, and I'm gonna be that person, but so I'm Black, so I'm not gonna go back to the past. So I'm gonna always pick the future. So I want to go to the future and see what's up there, what's ahead. Like, do I get to fly across? If I could get a car that can fly over this 84 traffic, I am down. That is what I'm looking forward to in the future. Just, oh, I gotta get to Danbury, pew, and I'm there. That'd be amazing.
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, I want full on, like, for my millennials, I need to be in xenon gear with all my metallic, with my belt on, and I'm up there like playing with the aliens or something. So that is what I'm looking forward to. And also, it always looks like people in the future don't go to work. Like they figured out that part. So I want to go there.
Brittany, that
Yes.
sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Do you need a special license for these flying cars, or is it the same one? I'm just curious.
I would hope so, because some of the people can't drive on the ground, so I could imagine the sky. So I'm gonna say yes to the driving test. But it'll be nice to be like, oh, he's going too slow, like whoop, and then just kind of keep going. So
I
it'd
mean,
be
if it's the
amazing.
future, wouldn't the cars be definite, like actually driving themselves so we don't have to have a license?
All good questions. I'll let you know when I get back.
I can go. So, like Brittany, I am also going to the future, but I don't think I'm going that far ahead. I think I love the idea of a flying car, but I'm also a little scared to drive it. I feel like I'm going crashing head nose first into the ground. So I want to go like 15, 20 years into the future, where I'm still surrounded by the people I love now. But I am not working my big girl job anymore. I'm working like part-time putting sprinkles on donuts. And I'm that's my dream job, guys, putting sprinkles on donuts.
Wait, is that is a thing you would like to be doing?
No, I mean, I just feel like it's no, it's just a
Then
job
no.
where like I can still make money, but like I can go and do my job and go home. Right?
Okay.
I don't have
Mindy, I wasn't sure if like having a bakery and working in a bakery was like a thing that you wanted to be doing in the future.
I want a job where I do my job and I go home. Right? There's like it's a shift and that's it. That's what's it's and putting sprinkles on donuts doesn't sound bad. I can make fun designs and stuff, right? Like colorful
Dunkin'
And if
Donuts
one
does
comes
it
out
different.
ugly by mistake, oh no, this one's bad.
You
right?
can make
So
like the little spider one.
and I'm living someplace warm and I don't know, like I feel like life, it's just a different stage of life that I'm looking forward to. Who knows? Maybe I'll be in like a wheelchair by then because arthritis will just kick my butt, but I have optimism by then.
To keep going on this future theme, I would also go to the future. But like I want to see it all. I want the whole thing laid out for me. I think that would just ease a lot of nervousness. And I want the timeline, like what's happening when. So that's that.
And for me, I guess I like Samantha's. I always thought about the 50s and the dancing. I love the way they danced, and it's just fun because I've danced that way. So it's pretty fun. But I also wouldn't mind going back to when I was 30. I think it was a good year. So
Okay, so Ellie, I don't mean to be insulting, but I can totally
Ah!
see you with like the big ponytail and the like.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that
Yes.
or wearing the leathers. I wouldn't mind either or. In a good way. I don't know if that came out bad. Oh no. Let me just mute myself because yeah.
Well, like what are they called? The pink ladies or something
No,
in
exactly.
Greece.
Yeah, that's how I heard that, Ellie. You're
Yeah.
fine. I totally get it. I can see you rocking one of those like leather jackets, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I love that. I like when you accidentally overshare as well. And then embarrass yourself, but I could see it. I could totally see it. Michelle, I think you're the only one left. Where are you going?
Well, when I was younger, I thought that my first car would be a flying car that I'd be able to zoom and keep going. So I would look forward to the future.
I
Brittany,
feel like the Jetsons really messed that up for most of us.
I was
Like we
just
thought
gonna say that. I
we
was just
thought
gonna
that
say that.
2020, like I mean, like 2000s, we were gonna be like way further into technology than we are.
They
But it's
really
okay.
set us up. They
Back to the
totally
Future
did.
2 really made me think 2015, that's going to be the year. Was not very different.
I also
aside
wanted-
from our fancy phones.
I also wanted a Rosie.
Oh, yep.
You
All
might
right,
be able
You know
to
what I've always
soon.
wanted? I always wanted one. This is futuristic, but one of those things at like in the kitchen or something, it comes down and it like you can just like make your like smoothies or something from it. It just like you put in whatever you want and it just like makes it for you.
Although if any of this stuff would need to be fixed, I would have to find somebody to do the fixing because I destroyed even more.
I can vouch for that.
I've managed here, and this is not what it potentially would be. in the
Guys, just in
future.
case you're wondering, Michelle will never rob FCA because her fingerprints are everywhere. Legit. All right. So that was fun. Led to a lot of discussions. Clearly, we are all looking forward to flying cars. I hope I'm around to see it. So we're not going to travel back in time, but Michelle is going to take us on a journey to an isolated island. Michelle, is that right? A deserted island.
All right. And thinking about what is important to you, like family members, pets, a particular item, how you like to be around them and spend time with them. I want for you to imagine you're about to go on a month's vacation to a deserted island. There is only a couple of things that you can take with you though. And no, you can't pay extra for an extra bag or anything else. It's just, so if you have pen and paper or just something to jot down, whether you use your phone, jot down a couple of things that you could potentially bring with you. So if everyone is all set, whether you're using a phone or you have pen and paper, you could give me a thumbs up. All right.
And is this just things? Or you had mentioned family?
Well, I'm going to give you things to kind of like think about and you could jot down your answer. So one person that you would bring with you and who would it be? Just one. You can't hide anyone. Just one. All right. One thing that you would bring with you to entertain yourself. Okay. A photo that means a lot to you. Next one is a favorite item, whether it be like a necklace, a toy, tchotchke. Remember, just one. Who would you miss? And the last one, what would you miss? Everyone had a chance to write their answers? Huh? Does anyone need a little bit of additional time? No? Right. All right, so on this vacation, from the questions that you had answered, the answer that you responded to one thing to entertain yourself, you can show it, or you could just hold on to it. I want you to look at it and just toss it to the side. Okay, and I want you to just,
So we're crossing it off, basically.
yes, yeah, cross it off or toss it to the side, yes. For a photo that means a lot to you, you could hold on to that. Now that photo got wet and now it's very blurry. You're gonna toss that one to the side or you're gonna cross it off. The item that is your favorite item, you can take a look at that. That one got buried somewhere in the sand. You're not able to find it. The one person that you would bring with you, the person is lost somewhere on the island. Can't see the person, you're not able to hear the person. The two items that are left, who would you miss? And what would you miss? Are there two things left in your hands? Can I just ask, how is everyone feeling right now? If you want to share, you can share.
I mean, with the last two items, you're not actually holding them because you're just missing them. So in the end, you get nothing or you have nothing. So it's kind of, I'm sure you'd be lonely.
Okay, valid point. Does anyone else want to share?
I'm sad.
Mhm.
Yeah, you sort of like got our hopes up and I was like, "Ooh, this is fun. What would I bring?" And then it was like, bear nair. Okay. What now?
Mhm.
You're basically losing everything that was the most dearest to you, because you have to think really hard about the things that you would take with you. And then now you lose all of those things that were the most dearest to you.
And kind of left with just those memories, right? And so, does anyone else want to share? I don't want to put anyone on the spot.
No, just a lot of emotions going through, thoughts,
Mhm.
you know, what happened.
Right. And, and with, just thinking about this activity, like what are some of the things our kids have gone through? Right? they can't see them, you know, whether it be a family member, whether it be friends that they attended school with, it could be their neighbor that they always shared ideas or just played next door with them. So it's a lot of things that our kids have gone through. And a lot of times they're not able to express it. And if they do express it, they express it behaviorally.
I love this activity. We do this exact one or something very similar with our foster parents. It's not always to a deserted island. Michelle and I thought this would be fun based on the travel for the icebreaker question. It kind of just, you know, was a natural segue, but we always do something like this with our foster parents. And I think it's such an illustration. Mariah, to your point, like, oh, sweet, I'm going on a trip, like I'm packing, and then you're left with literally nothing. And even though this is somewhat of a role play type thing, like for me, every time I go through those emotions, and if we stop and we think our kids in care, it's not even like, hey, I'm taking you from your place of origin. That's not fun, right? They never get that high, or at least the majority of them don't get that high. There's probably a handful that are like okay to be leaving their home, but that loss and the missing of certain things is always going to follow. And so we know that, you know, coming into care, that loss is usually going to be followed by grief, not just for the kids, but then also for the bio parents or the family that they were removed from. And we also know that our foster parents can experience a loss when a foster child is reunified, or move to another home if they go live with a relative, or if a removal happens. So there's just all sorts of loss and grief within the foster care system. And so we need to really look at what are some of the signs of it. And so that's what we're gonna look at for today, and how we can help people through that. So let's think about when a youth is withdrawing. What does that look like a lot of the times? What are some of the signs, symptoms, behaviors that we might see from a youth if they're well, I just gave you the answer. Well, one of the answers. So guys, when a youth is experiencing loss and grief, one of the things they might do is withdraw. What else might they do if they're experiencing loss and grief?
Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they act out. So sometimes I think that we confuse the depression. We think that that depression just consists of the withdrawal part. Sometimes it's the you just not being able to tolerate anything, being upset all the time, angry, easily frustrated, you know, cursing or talking back, you know, not wanting to go, not necessarily withdrawing, but like doing things that they would not necessarily do. The acting out, a lot of behaviors. So you have the withdrawal, and then you have the coming out and just wilding out kind of attitude that is the complete opposite of that. That happens a lot.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Others?
Sometimes it's more of just a sense of apathy, like a not caring about anything, not caring one way or the other, not having the energy to, Melissa, fall into either one of those categories that you mentioned, but just sort of a blasé, don't really care about anything.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi, I agree with Mariah. I was just gonna say a lot of times they don't want to do anything, like Mariah was saying. They don't want to go to school, they don't want to participate in activities. When they get to their new foster home, if they're having like family nights, or kind of things are changing too much too fast, they kind of just want to stay in their room. They also may have trouble like sleeping in a new environment, and communicating or talking with the new people. So also keep in mind that may be symptoms.
Love that. What about a family of origin, how do we know that they might be experiencing a loss? What are some of the signs and symptoms that a bio parent or bio relative we could be seeing, either as the worker or the foster parent or the foster child?
Them being hard to contact. Sometimes they will go rogue. You can't find them. They don't answer their phones. Them not wanting to have conversations. You know, them associating you with their loss. Feeling like it's your fault. Feeling like, you know, you're the reason why this is happening to me anyway. Not wanting to speak to you. Not wanting to be a part of sessions. Not wanting to be a part of sessions with their children sometimes too. All of those are signs that you can, so not to necessarily take it as disrespect, but to understand that that's them in their grieving process.
Or you have the flip side where they're overly involved and they are trying to overly push in and they are trying to, but I can do this and I can do that, because they're trying to reinsert themselves back into the child's life. So I usually see either one or the other of the spectrum.
Has anyone, oops, sorry.
I was
Did I
just
cut
gonna
off? Go ahead,
I was
Mara.
gonna say it's almost everything we mentioned, but like from a grown up as opposed to from a child, and just in grown up behaviors.
Has anyone seen the grown-up get angry? Someone tell me about what does that look like? Because I'm labeling it as angry, but what does the actual behavior look like?
Relapsing.
Okay.
I've seen one who was really angry, relapsed, blamed having to go back to rehab because of the therapy or the sessions. I've seen anger in a way that they flip on the children, also. And whoever the foster mom is or the kinship person, whoever it is that have the children, I've seen that as well. A level of resentment, and then you have to kind of like get them into understanding where everyone is coming from. So I've seen that end dealing with the permanency parents, or even if they're not going to be a permanency parent, they might just still want to have a relationship with the child and is still struggling with how you rob them of this experience. And that's what they say most of the time.
Brittany, I saw your hand.
Sure, but I'm going to pass it to Lauren.
I think I've definitely experienced shouting, language that I don't appreciate, some name calling, and dismissal of, advice or support. Another thing that I had learned at one point was, being angry is more comfortable than experiencing grief. And channeling those feelings into anger and placing blame outside of yourself, and it pushes those feelings of hurt, of sad down, and it covers them with something that they feel like is within their control, and it makes them feel like this is a way to regain control of a situation in a way.
That's such a valid thing that you point out, Lauren, right? That anger is, for the majority of folks, much more comfortable than grief and loss. And I think that's really important for everybody to remember, not just practitioners, right? But that as a human population, anger is a more acceptable, in a way, emotion in our society. Brittany, am I coming back to you? No. Okay. I'm not going back to Brittany. And so lastly, let's talk about what it looks like for a foster parent. What do we see from a foster parent experiencing grief and loss? Not Grease. We're good. That could go so many different ways. Movie, cooking, all of that.
I have seen family members, or foster parents, whoever has the child once the child is leaving. I usually see for them, it's more so them like kind of piling up their schedule so that they're busy, so that they don't notice that the child is not there. Um, or they try to, just kind of withdraw from many of our programs, to kind of take a minute to kind of regain and kind of, refocus themselves. A lot of times the child is in your home and your entire schedule, your routine is completely involved in this child. And then once they are gone, now you have all that space. You don't have to pick them up from school. You don't have to, go to all of these appointments and different things. So then they end up filling it with just other things and other trying to keep themselves busy so that they can't be reminded of the child. And then I also just wanted to mention, as well, as when you see a foster parent that's grieving, many times our foster parents have other children in the home and they are grieving as well. And I think that population gets overlooked, but you had a foster brother live on the other side of your bedroom for, let's say 6 months, and now that child is gone. So understanding that your foster children who are still in the home may also be grieving and may also need that time and space as well.
Brittany, that is such, I think you're absolutely right that a lot of the times the other kids in the home, whether they are foster or even bio, that is something that does get negated. And do you have any recommendations on not just giving them the space, but things that the parent can, should it be allowed to be talked about? Should it be swept under the rug? Should they be forced to go to activities? Anything like that? Does the team have any recommendations for the kids that remain in the home?
I feel like there should be a space for, if they want to talk about it, it's always easier not to talk about it because that's just comfortable. And, it is helpful to just go out and say what those feelings are. That way, everybody can just have an understanding of, okay, so it's not just the foster parent, like Brittany was saying, it's the other kids in the home that are feeling similar, having similar emotions. So there should be a space at least just to say, I'm here, we can talk about it. This is hard for everyone, not just for myself or whatever, the foster parent. But yeah, just giving it a space to talk of when the time comes that they want to talk about it.
Your wording really normalizes it, right? It says this is hard for everyone. It's not, it's making it a household issue, not an issue for just the child or just the foster parent or just the dog. It's about everybody. And I appreciate the way you put that. Any other thoughts on the loss and grief of the foster household? I'm going to open it up to everybody in remaining in the foster home.
Another thing I think that we tend to do is you want to, of course, give them time and space to feel comfortable, but not too much time. Because I feel like allowing too much time can make them comfortable in the sadness, not wanting to discuss it, kind of, removing themselves from it. I feel like you do need to address it at some point. You can't just continuously give them space, but just not enough to where you're ignoring it for months. You kind of have to address it at some point. So I think it's good to recognize I'm allowing you guys the space. However, maybe in 2 weeks, we'll come back to this, kind of let them know that we're going to talk about it to help you kind of go through this process. We're going to go through this process together.
I really like that suggestion as well. And for those of you who just saw Brittany did have another appointment, but we will miss her and she'll be back next month with us. So happy Friday to Brittany. Hope the rest of her day goes smoothly. So I just want to talk a little bit about the grief stages, because we've talked about all these different sectors of the process, or people, excuse me, within the process that will experience grief and loss, but we haven't really, talked about the actual process of grief and loss. So, does grief, right? We know there's the different stages of different models of the grief stages. And do those, whatever model you ascribe to, does it always happen in a linear fashion? Do you always, go from stage 1 to stage 2 and wake up the next day in stage 3? Talk to me about those stages. Again, whichever model you subscribe to, does it follow specific stages in a linear fashion?
Of how you handle grief, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, how you move, yeah.
No, I can speak for myself. Speaking for myself, have had losses. And it has never gone in the stages. First it can feel like shock initially, like you're still trying to digest what happened and process. Then you're sometime in denial. Sometime in denial comes first, where you're like, oh no, that didn't happen. And then you're also at a place of, when you finally realize it happened, you're going through constant shock. So it's like every day it's like you're shocked again and shocked again and shocked again. So I think that it depends on the person. And it depends on the kind of loss, where you're really, really impacted in a way that you don't know what stage you're going to be in. And sometimes you can be stuck in one stage for a tremendously long period of time, where it feels like you're never coming out of it, depending on the kind of loss. So I think it's important that we understand that the process for everybody is different. People tend to say things like, oh, it's been 5 years now, this person should get over it. And that's not necessarily true for a lot of people. Some people are in stage 1 or 2 for 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. Some people are in it forever. I've had foster homes where one specifically, husband died 10 years ago. And she's trying to hold on to everything in her life, like holding a bag of eggs, and that things are falling out of her hands, but she's trying to hold on to all these things because she's had a loss and she doesn't know how to still deal with that loss 10 years ago. And it's impacting her children, and everybody in her family. So I think that it's important to understand everybody's process is different and to be patient with everyone in their process.
Oh, you want me to just jump in, Mindy? Sorry, I was waiting for you to say something.
Sorry, there's no more raising hands. Brittany's gone.
Oh, right. Okay, good. That's helpful. Thank you. Melissa, I couldn't agree more. And it's something I personally feel very strongly about, even in my own outpatient clinical practice. Certainly I know there's evidence for stages of grief, but I like to call them themes of grief, in the sense that, yes, there are absolutely universal elements that we all experience as a theme related to grief. But I think the notion of stages really does, like you said, Melissa, it makes people feel like, well, I should be like moving on to the next stage. I should be going faster through a process. And I think it's more about the themes and the fact that everybody experiences grief differently. Every single person, circumstance, situation, and even I have experienced multiple losses, and each time that process was different for me, even experiencing those. So I think that's so important to remember, that it's not uniform, it's not linear, it's all over the place, and that's okay. It's okay that it's all over the place.
Go ahead, Lori. Again,
I do still raise my hand. I'm I am like Brittany in that way. I think that Melissa made a good point in terms of the type of loss. I think that we have a tendency to think about grief only in relation to death. And what I have personally found in my own experience is that sometimes those stages last longer, and they are more all over the place when it's not death. When you know that the person is still out there and you may not know what's going on with them. And it's that what could have been, what could be. And I definitely agree that these things aren't linear. I've definitely experienced, even cycling through those themes or stages, in the same day, in the same hour of accepting it, then being angry and saying, why do I feel this way? Being sad, all within a day. And they're all of these things that are so intertwined with just how we are as people, because I don't really think that we're necessarily programmed as humans to know instinctually how to deal with these situations. And they're not things that I think, no matter how much you might be able to try to prepare yourself emotionally, you don't really know how you'll feel and whatnot until you're there. And I think Mariah also said we'll also put a lot of expectation on ourselves to say, I should be doing better. I should be at this point already. And that word should is this almost judgment of ourself that then also pushes us to be stuck almost, and it doesn't let us move through things the way that we need to. So yeah.
I often say that moving through grief looks like a doodle by a toddler. That if a toddler took, a different color crayon for every stage and scribbled all over the paper with each crayon, that's grief. That's how we move through it. And that, the other thing for me is that there's this myth that healing from grief means that you eventually move on and forget it. And I don't think that's true either. I think that, you may come to a place of acceptance. You may come to a place of normalcy from the loss. But that doesn't mean that you just forget it. So for me, those are important distinctions.
I also think that it's important to remember, I mean, I think everyone's kind of touched on this a little bit, but there are times where people may go backwards as well. Like if they've experienced one stage, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, we've already done the anger, it's over now. It could totally, you could move on to a different stage and then come back to that even like years later or whatever. So it's kind of like you said, Mindy, the grief's always gonna be there at some level, whether it's managed or not, it's gonna take time. And I also think that it's really important to remember, especially for the foster children, that it's especially difficult when they're still visiting with their parents and seeing family members and siblings that might be in a different home, because they are still there and they are still getting to visit with each other and see each other and, do fun things together, but they're not really together and with them, living with them like their life maybe used to be. So I think that can be really challenging.
That's actually a super good point, Emma, because when working with bio parents and visiting with their children, I've had parents say to me, it's really hard because every week I'm with them, but then I have to leave them all over again. Every single week. They leave every week. I have to leave them, and they have that guilt and that pain. And so it's almost like experiencing that initial grief over and over and over and over again. Which, yeah.
And it can be really hard to get that, like, quality time together at the visit when it's only an hour maybe, and there's 3 kids and, they want to tell their parents about their week and how they're doing at school. And then, oh, well, there's only 10 minutes left to play a game or to do, whatever, give a gift or like, anything like that.
So even on a weekly basis, right, there's loss. And so we can't, well, I guess we could say, rub some dirt on it, take a walk, get over it, but that's probably not a productive thing for us to say as adults or caretakers. So my question is what are some good things that we can say or do when we realize someone is experiencing grief and loss? What are some helpful skills? We've talked about giving space, but what are some things, you know, sort of those one or two liners that we can fall back on?
I think a big one is just the validation. Sorry, Ellie. Just the like, hey, I'm sorry, this does really suck right now. Like just the acknowledgement and validation of, yeah, this is really hard and I'm really sorry. Like starting there, I think is always the best place.
Ellie?
What she said. No, yeah, what she said also, but just letting them know that you are there when they want to talk, saying those things, and then just saying, you know, whenever you're ready to talk, you know, I'm here for whatever it is you want to talk about, or I'm here if you just want me to sit with you, for however long it is that you want me to sit with you. Not even saying anything, but just listening. Just that's it. You don't have to say anything. Just sometimes people just want you there for comfort and just, okay, I know this person's going to be there when I need them, not just trying to fix everything all the time. So
That non-judgmental presence. Love that, Ellie. Love that. One of the things I've always tried to do is talk about having, if the loss is predictable, right? Like you guys, Lauren and Emma, you guys were talking about weekly visits, right? Have a routine for after it. Are they going to come in? Are they going to have a snack while you sit with them in a non-judgmental way, maybe not talking? And then are they going to have an hour to color? So that they can get out some of those emotions in a way that's comfortable for them. So I think sometimes if it's a predictable loss, there are some coping skills that we can build in around it.
Or to continue to do groups like this to prepare them for loss. Not that we can never be prepared for it, but like you said, if it's predictable in terms of stuff like that, you know, to have the conversation early on, like you may have these feelings or emotions and they're perfectly fine. And when you are feeling these ways, we can discuss it. You know, we can also have a debrief after, you know, visits just to discuss how, you know, it made you feel. You know, what are some of the things that you can do to help you around these feelings or emotions, just to kind of, like I said, you can't all the way prepare, but somewhat ease the pain just a little bit, with like prepping.
I love that, the prepping, the pre-teaching, and normalizing the feelings beforehand. That's fantastic, Melissa. And I think, you know, everything we're talking about too is we're emphasizing that there's self-care in all this grief and loss. And so I don't want to wrap up on such a heavy note. So what I'd love to do is talk about, what are you going to do for self-care? What fun are you having coming up in the next, whether it's today, whether it's this weekend, or, you know, the next month or so? I'd love to lighten the mood a little bit with something fun. Is anybody willing to share something fun?
So my goddaughter is doing a play on Saturday. She's going to be the young Fiona. So I'm going to go see her on Saturday. And this is a little girl who was also diagnosed with selective mutism, but she has come such a long way. I believe she's 10. I don't even know how old she is. I believe she's like 10 years old, but she has come such a long way. So that'll be pretty exciting to see.
That is awesome. Congratulations to her. You're going to get her flowers.
Yeah.
Don't you get flowers for actors, actresses?
Yeah, I wanted to get her something, you know, like flowers or something different. But so I'm still, Mia, I'm such a procrastinator, so I'm still thinking of what to get her.
Candy. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm sure her parents will love that, Michelle.
It's
She's going to be sent home with Ellie. Anyone else have something exciting and fun?
I'm actually going to see my daughter in the Shrek play. Ellie, maybe I'll see you there. I don't know if it's the same school.
That's crazy.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
Michelle, what part is she?
She's part of like the villagers.
Oh, how
She's
fun.
in different scenes, yeah. And she tends to be quite shy, so I was actually shocked that she auditioned and she's going to be singing on stage and dancing, so be interesting to see.
This is so cool. Shrek is very popular.
I love that. I don't have a play to go to this weekend or anything, but my whole family, like all of my siblings, significant others, nieces and nephews are going to my mom's on Sunday, and we're gonna dye Easter eggs and do a little egg hunt. And it's always chaos when my family's together, but it'll be super, super fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Very, very much.
Before
This
I
Easter
jump-
weekend already?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
Technically it's next weekend, but this is, I have 5, I'm the oldest of 6, so it's a lot of calendars and schedules. So this is when we can all be together to celebrate.
before I jump off for my meeting, I always try to find something to binge watch the whole weekend. So looking to see if I can find something to binge watch, maybe a series or something that's online. So if you have any ideas, please send me.
do you like reality TV?
Sometimes.
Love is Blind.
Oh my.
Okay.
Yes,
that's a
this
good
new
one.
season was so good. If I could talk all day about it, but if you haven't watched it,
So I'll definitely be binge watching.
If you want, I'm also, if you like, it's like Grey's Anatomy, but not. But I'm currently binging The Resident, which has been so good.
Okay.
Um,
I will write that down.
it's so good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. My exciting thing that's coming up, it's not this weekend. In a week and a half, I'm going to Colorado for the first time. To visit my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephew who is 2.5, almost, and my baby niece who is, I don't know math, like 7 months old. So because they live so far, my nephew, I've only gotten to be in person with him like 3 times ever, but we FaceTime all the time. I love him. And then my niece, obviously I haven't met her yet, and I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
I
Take
love that.
pictures.
I will. My niece has like the funniest little cowlick. It's just like right here, no matter what, because her hair is like so light. She's got this like reddish hair too, and it's like right here on her head, and it just whoop all the time, no matter what.
I'm looking forward to just the next 2 weeks in general. Because my sister's coming home. She works and lives at a residential school in Connecticut. So she will be coming home for the next 2 weeks for her school break, and we're gonna work on planning our trip that we're going on this summer to just the two of us, which we've never done before. So I'm super excited for that. We haven't really done anything so far. So
That'll be fun. I can't wait to hear where you guys pick to go.
we actually, well, the only thing we've done is book the flights. We're going to a couple of places in France and then Barcelona. First
That's
time
awesome.
in really out of the country. I went to the Dominican Republic and that's it. So I've never been to Europe or anything. So I'm super excited. So yeah,
If you want any recommendations,
I
if you
do.
have
I
some, my
definitely
brother
do.
did used to live in Barcelona,
That's
so
one
I
place
can
that
ask
like
him.
I don't know what we're gonna be doing. So I would love
Mhm.
some if you'd like to give them.
Yes, I'll
Thank
ask
you.
him.
I'll give you some recommendations for Paris. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
cities in Europe. I got you, Emma.
We're
chat-
definitely
we'll
hitting
chat
up
later.
Paris and going down to the coast and of France, and then yeah, so we're just kind of gonna see how it goes.
Anybody else? Well, oh, go ahead, Sam.
I'm gonna have a board game night tomorrow night, so
Lauren, are you having one or you want to go? You want to go? I see. Okay.
We should do like a staff board game night or
That would be
board games
fun.
day one day because I love board games too, and I feel like I never get to play them or like even like different card games and stuff. Like we should totally do it like a team bonding sort of activity.
I'm a little scared for people's competitive side to come out. I feel like Mariah's gonna be brutal. And Ellie too. I feel like Ellie's got it hidden.
I was laughing because I was going to say I actually love that. I will add that to staff agenda to be discussed and planned, but I will forewarn all of you, I don't like to lose. It's just who I am.
All
don't know
right.
what to
I
tell you.
think we're gonna end right there. We're gonna end on that note. For all of you, be forewarned, if you play a game during your sessions with Mariah, she's winning.
I'm totally able to rein it in sessions. Don't worry. I'm completely good at it in sessions. It's just more on a personal level. But Mindy, on the other hand, though, we did successfully, at least for me personally, I will say, I do feel much better after all of that heavy conversation. So thank you for ending us in a much more positive space.
Absolutely. And my self-care is I have a little bit of Yukon fever. I'm very excited for the 2 Yukon games. And so I'm getting together with folks to watch it and go Yukon.